Okay, so we are going to, since I was gone for the field trip, then I'm going to do the worked out answer key. So I'll talk you through some of these things. It's a little easier to do it this way because I can't always, you can look at the answer key, but you can't always see or tell what's going on. So let's start. And this will probably be in a couple videos just because I get 15 minutes at a time for these. So you can go and pause and fast forward however you need to. So first, telling if these are true or false. So if two parallel lines are cut by transversal, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. That should be true. That is the alternate interior angles theorem. Number two, if two lines are parallel, then they are coplanar. That is also true because the definition of parallel lines says lines that are coplanar and don't intersect. So that is true. Number three, if two lines are cut by a transversal, then same side interior angles, or CIAs also, are supplementary. This is false. And this is tricky, you gotta be careful. The thing that's missing that was there for number one that's not there for number two is you specify the parallel piece. If it's just any two lines, so any two lines like this, cut by a transversal, then no, we cannot say that these two angles will add up to equal 180. Okay? Has to be specific that the two lines have to be parallel, cut by a transversal, then same side interior angles are supplementary. Number four, if two lines are skew lines, then they are coplanar and never intersect. That is false. The part that's false is this right here. The definition of skew line says they are non-coplanar and never intersect. So the statement is false. Okay, number five, you read the directions. We're finding the missing angles. Information that we get from one problem to the next doesn't carry on. The thing that does carry on is this given information. So I'm going to mark that. A is parallel to B. Oops. And let me get rid of that extra line there. A is parallel to B. So I put single arrows on those. And G is parallel to H, so I need doubles. Because if you put singles on all four, you're trying to say they're all four parallel to each other, which is truly false, or clearly false. So first one, measure of angle 2 is 80 degrees. And so with that, we want to then find the measure of angle 12. So I need to work my way this way. So parallel lines cut by transversal, corresponding angles are congruent. So I know this is 80 degrees. And then using these parallel lines cut by this transversal, I know that these corresponding angles are congruent. So therefore for this one, measure of angle 12 is 80 degrees. Now, when I go to the next one though, I'm going to erase the 80 degrees because that doesn't carry on with it. Okay, now I know the measure of angle 3 is 102 degrees. And I want to find the measure of angle 12 again. Okay, well, I know corresponding angles are congruent, so then I know angle 11 will be 102 degrees, but I need angle 12. Well, this is a linear pair, so those will add up to equal 180, so 180 minus 102 means that angle 12 for this problem has to be 78 degrees, because it's a linear pair. Okay, then we get rid of that information, and we move on to the next problem. So the measure of angle 5 is 78 degrees. And we want to know the measure of angle 16. I'll work my way this way. You could go either way, but I'll go this way. So 5 and 13, those are corresponding angles. So this is 78 degrees. 13 and 15 are corresponding angles. So those are going to be congruent to each other. But I want angle 16. So again, 15 and 16 make a linear pair. Linear pairs add up to 180. So 180 minus 78 means that angle 16 has to be 102 degrees. Okay. And then I erase again. And the last one on this section. Measure of angle 3 is 95 degrees. And we want the measure of angle 13 over here. So I'll go this way. So 3 and 1 are corresponding, so parallel lines cut by transversal, corresponding angles are congruent. So that's 95. This time I'll do alternate exterior angles. So angles 1 and 14 are alternate exteriors. So parallel lines cut by transversal, AEA, are congruent. So angle 14 is 95 degrees, but I want angle 13. So 13 and 14 make a linear pair. So 180 minus 95 means that the measure of angle 13 has to be 85 degrees. Okay? So that's how you would work your way around using two sets of parallel lines and two different transversals. Okay, on 9 through 12, we're given this information, and you notice you've got arrows, you've got one set of parallels. So the measure of angle 6 is 40 degrees. The measure of angle 7 is 80 degrees, and we want to find 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're not finding 5 up there, so we don't need that. Okay, so hopefully you're looking for some letters. So let me get my highlighter here real quick. Maybe this thing. All right, so on my highlighter, I have a Z right here. So then I know my armpits are going to be the same, which means that angle 1 is going to be 40 degrees. Okay, so I'll fill my picture in and then I'll put those in the blanks here in a second. All right, so then I'm gonna erase my Z there and get my highlighter back. And well, actually, I guess I've got another Z right here going this way, but notice I don't have 3 or 2 right now. However, notice that angle 2, angle 7, and angle 1, they make up this line, which is 180 degrees. So then if I add 80 and 40, I get 120. So then I'll do 180 minus 120, which means that angle 2 has to be 60 degrees. And so now I can use that Z, and if angle 2 is 60 degrees, angle 3 is also 60 degrees. The Z makes alternate interior angles. Okay. Now the last one I need to find is angle 4. And so on that one, hopefully you saw a C here. And so remember, C's are consecutive interior angles, and so those are supplementary. So then this angle 90 and this angle have to add up to 180. So 180 minus 90 means this has to be 90. So now I can fill in all my angles. Angle 4 is 90 degrees. Angle 1 is 40 degrees. Angle 2 was 60 degrees. And angle 11, or I'm sorry, angle 3, which is number 11, is 60 degrees as well. Okay? All right, next, then you had a big section of this kind of stuff. And so I'm going to get my highlighter again and look for those F, C's, and Z's. So hopefully you saw that you have a Z here. This angle is 80 degrees. So then the other armpit angle are congruent to each other. Those are alternate interior angles, so that's 80 degrees as well. Then, hopefully you saw the C. Maybe if I can get this to work. You see a C right here. Even though the parallels are there, remember that extends all the way, so this whole line is parallel to this whole line here. And so then with that one, C angles are supposed to add up to 180, so y plus 90 equals 180, so when you subtract that means y is 90. So I've got 90 for y and 80 for x. I'm not going to be a big stickler about the degree piece in there, but you can put it. Okay, so number 14. On number 14, maybe you saw this upside down F here. And you can turn your paper so it's not upside down if you needed to, but that means these armpit angles are going to be congruent to each other. So then to show work, I would do 3y equals 60, and so then divide by 3, so y is 20. Okay. Then I have a backwards C down here. And what we know about those C angles is that they are supplementary. So then I would have 5x plus 110 equals 180. Subtract 110, 5x equals 70. And so then you divide, and x is going to be 14. Okay? So I told you when we went over this that this was one of the most missed types of problems are these here. All right, so now we said we were, when I gave you this, we're getting rid of number 16 completely, so that's why it's not on here, I skipped it. Number 15y we got rid of, and number 17y we also got rid of. All right, so on this one, hopefully you saw this z here. And so on the z, your armpit angles are going to be the same. So when x is or y is just standing alone, there's no coefficient in front or plus or minus anything, then you don't need to show work. So on this one, x is 30, and you're done. We would have to know some more information that we'll learn in chapter 4 to be able to get y, so that's why we crossed it out. Okay, on number 17, let's see, maybe you saw this upside down F like this. And so remember on the F's, that means the armpit angles are congruent. So then X is 130. And again, we got rid of Y because it's in chapter 4. You would need to know something about triangles. Okay? Then, All right, I'm back. Had some technical difficulties. So now we're on number 18. So on 18, hopefully you could see that you have a C here on kind of upright here, I guess. And so remember that the C's should add up to be 180. So 130 plus X equals 180. So X should be 50. So I'm going to put that here. This is going to be 50 degrees. And then hopefully you see that you have an F right here. And we know that F angles in the armpits, these are congruent to each other. So 2y plus 30 is going to equal 50. Subtract 30. 2y equals 20. Divide by 2, so y is 10. Okay. On the next one, we're going to do a z here, or at least I'm going to do that first. So then in a z, your armpit angles will be the same to each other. So 2y equals 60. Divide by 2, y is going to be 30. So I know that this angle is going to be 60 degrees total, because 2 times 30 is 60 degrees. Then I'm going to use a C. Oops, I wanted to erase that first. Erase the Z. And then I've got a C at top there, right here. And so what we know about those C angles is that they are supplementary. So I know 3x plus 9 plus 60 has to equal 180. So then that's 3x plus 69 equals 180. And that's going to give you, whoops, 3x equals 111, and then divide by 3, so then your x is going to be 37. So to see the rest of the problems, you'll have to play the second video to get 20 through 27.